And welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside Now. This is our spooky edition of Pro Wrestling Inside Now. And some people say that we're scary every time we come on the air. But welcome, folks, to Pro Wrestling Inside Now. This is our top 100 wrestler series, number 74. My number 74, Sensational Sherri Martel. What if I think it was Rodney. Rodney, was Sherri Martel on your list?
Yes, she was. She was at 83.
83. Jack, did she make your list yet? I'm not for sure.
She is not on my list simply because I put all men on this list. But if we're having a top 100 women, she's my number one.
I have to give this. I really never really knew Sherri Martel until 1987. I don't know that I ever had even heard of her till 1987. I don't know what year she started. I hadn't looked at that, but I do know that the first time we saw her was in Continental Championship Wrestling, and I don't know who she was wrestling against. I'm not for sure who that was.
I don't remember either,
because she was so good that you never really thought about it.
It didn't matter. It really didn't matter.
She was tremendous in the ring. She knew she had people hating her more than anybody in that territory, and she's only there for 2 weeks. That's how good she was. A lot of people don't like this being said, but she wrestled like a man. She truly did. And she was so good at what she did everywhere she went. I understand, most people may not know her as a wrestler. They may know her as a manager because that's what she did later on in the years. But as far as a wrestler, there was nobody any better than Sherri Martel inside the ring. Jack, Sherri Martel, number 74 on my list.
I have always loved Sherri from the first time. Well, I watched her for years before I ever met her. But let's be honest. She wrestled like a man, but behind the scenes, she'd fight you like a man too. She didn't pull no punches about how she felt or if blows needed to be exchanged. She was more than willing to get in there with it. Just a great lady. Probably one of the, and like I say, she would be number one on my list for women wrestlers of all time. I just thought the world of her.
Yeah, she was so good. Sherri Martel, Rodney.
Yeah, Sherri Martel, one of the best, or the best of all time, greatest wrestler of all time. It's a lady wrestler of all time, of course. Just a tremendous talent. Set the standard that I believe that most women in professional wrestling would like to live up to. She was actually the first queen of wrestling, especially the WWE. Macho Man was the Macho King. She was the queen at the time. Just a tremendously gifted. Of course, they called her Scary Sherri for Halloween people. That was awesome, and she was really even to this day remembered. I think that if you saw her and you saw a wrestler, she was a great wrestler.
She was everything she did. She was believable. She was believable because most of the lady wrestlers believed because she just beat them. She beat them pretty bad. All right, let's start with you, Jack. Number 74 on your top 100 list.
My 74 is a guy who barely made it into the territory days, right at the very end, but became kind of a big name over time. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, I will tell everyone Stone Cold Steve Austin made it very lower on my list just because he entertained me so well, and he was such an over wrestler. Now, he didn't wrestle for a very long period of time.
Exactly.
It was a very short period of time, but in that short span, he did make. He did work for at least two territories, I guess. I guess he did work for World Class. Mm-hmm. And well, I guess it was it World Class at the time because it was Jerry Jarrett who was running it at the time, wasn't it?
I was thinking it was the tail end of World Class, but it could have just been Jarrett's version of it there.
And then he went to work for Jerry Jarrett in Memphis. He probably made that $20 a night guarantee,
$40, and he was not real happy about it. In fact, there was a Jeff Jarrett addressed the heat that they had between them that they've had for years, where he was sitting in the locker room, Steve was, and was looking at his check that was for $40 a night. And Jeff made the comment, "Don't keep looking at it, boy. It ain't going to get no bigger." And that didn't settle well with him now. And all these years later, he still ain't got over it.
It was just a bad time for wrestling in general. And we're going to talk about that next Tuesday night. It's going to be a little different. The wrestling conversation moves to Tuesday nights. I'm going to talk about my part of the wrestling. I'm going to talk about a Continental Championship Wrestling, and specifically Birmingham, Alabama, and exactly what happened to Birmingham and why it went down so bad. It's a pretty long story, but I'm going to try to condense it into a very short deal. But it's a very interesting story, and I think Jarrett was having the same problems at this time. All right, Rodney, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
We wanted him when we first saw him. We saw him on Jarrett coming from the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. We said, out of everybody you've got, he's the one. We talked to Bill Dundee all the time, and he said Steve Austin is a star. It will be no question about he was a star. I think there was another one there, Rod Price, who disappeared later, but Steve Austin was awesome, and we saw from day one this man had it, and he was going to be a star, and we wanted him in Continental real bad.
Yeah, I think we actually tried to get in touch with him and get him there. So he would probably make $40 a night. So we may have been in that story of Jared.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes me feel good is Jared offered me that $40 a night too. So at one point, guys, I was as good as Steve Austin.
Steve Austin was tremendous when he was in WCW. They missed the boat with Steve Austin, no doubt. But I have to give Brian Pilman and him were tremendous tag team. The Hollywood Blondes was just tremendous. Now, Brian Pilman tried to push the envelope a little bit, and I think that might have hurt Steve Austin just a tad. But it was a tremendous team. Then he goes to WWE. Really, I guess going to ECW was the beginning of the Stone Cold character, doing the interviews and stuff that he did. As these newfangled fans, the promos were doing. And so, But Rodney, 74 on your list.
Oh, my number 74 is Magnum Ta. Magnum Ta. I'm looking at his Wikipedia page, and it's very sad, by the way, how they really ignore the fact that he was in Mid-South Wrestling. They just give it just like a footnote, when I believe that Mid-South is where Magnum Ta became a superstar. After he became the North American champion for the second time, defeating Wrestling 2, I think that he became not just a star, but he became a superstar, and that set the stage for what would come the very next year, when he moved to Jim Crockett Promotions. But without Mid-South and without that development of Mid-South, they would have not have been a Jim Crockett Promotions. And I think that they kind of played down the contribution that Bill Watts, Wrestling 2 and Bill Dundee made to his career at Ernie Ladd as well.
All right, Jack, Magnum Ta.
I have to agree. By the time he hit Crockett, he was fine-tuned. He was ready. Still had a little growing to do, but he knew what he was doing and was able to go out there and do anything they asked of him. Magnum Ta, I think, is probably one of those guys that, had it not been for the accident, I believe he would have been world champion. I believe that we would have seen him in WWE. I believe he could have been the Steve Austin type character up there for them. He had so much potential that was really only just being tapped before the car accident.
Well, let me ask you. When you think about that, Steve Austin kind of had he wore the same thing the Magnum Ta wore. And I never thought about that till you said he would have been the Magnum the Steve Austin at the time. Because
honestly, if you'd have put the cowboy boots on Austin, it pretty much would have been the same character to a great extent.
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought about that. Magnum TA, tremendous. We watched the growth of Magnum TA in Mid-South Wrestling, and you can go back and watch it. It's on. It may even be on Peacock Network. I'm not for sure, but it's definitely on YouTube. And go watch the growth. Just watch him in Florida, then see what he does in Mid-South and how great he becomes while he's in Mid-South. And that's because he wrestles against people like Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton, Wrestling 2, Ernie Ladd. He got to learn
Buddy
from
Landell. Yeah,
Buddy Landell. Yeah, but it just so many of the great.
Yeah, it was big. It was big. He was a star, and it was to the point where when Magnum TA left, people always regarded the North American title as his belt, especially the big silver and gold one.
Well, even Jack's dog knows Magnum TA deserves that. She's just barking.
I am here by myself with a wild dog and a wild son. So we're just
anything can happen at any moment. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, including my daughter sticking her head through the door, going, "I'm here too."
You forgot about her being there. Huh? She was quiet. That's the reason you did not know she was around.
Yeah, which is, if you know my daughter, it's one of the few she's ever quiet. She takes after her mother.
Glen Allen Shelton said, hello, guys. Stuart Kemp, hello, everyone. Number 74 for Charles Bellflower is Scott Armstrong. I believe he was on maybe Rodney's list.
Yes, number 84, Scott Armstrong. Yes,
I had him a little bit higher up too. But yeah,
Scott Armstrong deserves it. He could have a match with anyone. Tremendous wrestler, tremendous person. And knew the wrestling business. He understood the role, wherever role he was in, he understood it. He understood what he needed to do. If he was in the first or second matches, even though their matches were going to be good and it was going to be hard to follow them, he knew not to go outside the ring. He knew not to hit somebody with a chair. He knew not to fight to the dressing room. He knew that kind of stuff not to do. Everything was done inside the wrestling ring.
And that goes back to the point that Scott was able to make that emotional connection with the fans, and it was absolutely unbreakable between the fans and Scott Armstrong.
Scott also understood that longevity in this industry, you had to be open to doing whatever needed to be done. So when he transitioned from wrestling to refereeing for the WWE for all those years to working backstage now, he's still employed. Yep. So that says a lot about the knowledge that he has and the work ethic that he has. And I'm a couple of years older than him, and I hate him every day. I hate him. I'm joking, Scott. I love Scott.
Jason Mundy is with us. How you doing, Jason? Kevin Pendley, he's number 74, Abdullah the Butcher. Did not make my list at all. Abdullah did not make my list because he was more of a character-driven wrestler. Yeah. But I had to give him. I have to give him. Drew a lot of money in the wrestling business. For some reason, he just didn't make my list. I liked Abdullah the Butcher, and I liked to see him, but I only wanted to see him occasionally. I did not want to see him a lot. And when they booked him in Atlanta for long periods of time, he just got stale very quickly. Rodney, Abdullah the Butcher.
I agree with you on a lot of what you said. But Abdullah was a big draw many times in Georgia against Bill Watts, Stan Hansen, Tony Atlas. He was a huge draw in Georgia and Japan and in Puerto Rico. He just made that very terrible, unwise mistake in Georgia, which cost him never to be pushed again in the same way ever again in Georgia.
Abdullah the Butcher, Jack.
I've always loved watching Abby, but you're right. Abby was always best in short doses, I guess you would say. He was character. He would come in. He needed to be able to come in and do his thing, and then he needed to go. Because quite honestly, as much as I liked him, he was kind of one-dimensional. Because it was the same matches, it was the same character, and it was tremendous. Don't get me wrong, it was tremendous. But he was just better in those short doses. And I had a picture the other day for anybody that didn't see it from when he was in Japan, laying on a hotel room bed, eating a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken with a picture of Antonio Inoki, and he's trying to feed a piece of chicken to the picture. spectacular.
Rick Brooks asked, how's it going? It's going pretty good. Glen Allen Shelton said, happy birthday to CM Punk, Kevin Sullivan, Austin Idol, and I believe that's Taki Matachinko.
Taka Michinoku.
Okay, there you go. I'm horrible.
Kevin and Austin are the same age. Which
I like to wish a birthday to each and every one of those.
They are both 72 today, by the way, in case anyone.
Wow. Well, they look good to be 72.
They certainly do. They certainly do.
Thought they had a handful of matches. Does Shane and Vince McMahon qualify for the top of 100? I'm not putting them on my top 100, I don't think.
We're going to have to add a whole bunch of zeros. bunch of zeros.
Especially Vince. I mean, he was not good at all. He had heat, and people responded when he got beat up. But man, I read
a story the other day. I can't remember who the guy was that was commenting, but said he had tremendous heat with Vince because he had made the quip when Vince was doing a match. This was 20 years ago. That Vince had done a match, and he was talking about how much his back hurt afterwards. And the guy said, "Well, Vince, if I bumped like you did, I'd hurt all the time too." And he did not take that well.
Well, he wasn't any good. I hope he didn't think he was good. Shane was better than Vince, I thought. But
Shane was great at the high spots. But oh my goodness, you would think somebody that had been there as long as Shane has would at least learn how to punch.
You would think so, but he took a butt kicking though, didn't he?
I didn't mind his bumps because he wasn't supposed to bump like wrestlers do, because he wasn't a wrestler. But at least learn how to punch.
Yeah, they were pretty. Well, Vince was bad too. His punches was bad. That was horrible. Sherri Martel was great. A total package. Great heel, great promo, very athletic, great wrestler, good looks. She had everything. Yes, and she was a very nice person. She really was. Even as big a star she was always nice. A lot of people could learn from that. Michael Barr said, hello, I was here 24 hours ago.
Wow.
Mickey Mayfield says, my number 74 is Iron Mike Dibiase. Never saw him wrestle, but I think they said he was tremendous.
Yeah.
But I never got to see him. I don't know. Is there any videos of him out there anywhere?
I do believe there is a few. I found, I think, two different ones. This is like from the Chicago Library of Wrestling or whatever they call it. He was on there. But the matches are very short.
Victor Nash also said, hello, everybody, and happy 72nd birthday to Rodney's favorite wrestler, the Prince of Darkness, Kevin Sullivan.
When I laid with the leopards and they put the 72 candles on the cake, I thought the world was on fire.
It
was so much on there.
It was.
They burned the tree down. The tray of woe was screaming. He was crying.
When they watched my matches. We went too far on that. I stopped listening to Cornette's Drive-Thru for you guys. Make it good. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
The Bun
will not be Christian 4-letter one.
Yeah, the Bun Christian Pierce will be in action this Saturday night at Wrestle South in Arab, Alabama. So
that's right.
I don't know if he gets money's worth or not, but if he does do good, you should buy a ticket for behind the scenes and see what I have to say.
All right, now co-author of the autobiography "Don't Call Me Fake," a wildly entertaining. What's that say? What's that word?
Compendium of tales about his time as a wrestler, then as a bounty hunter. Number 74 on my list, Dr. D, David Schultz.
Crazy guy, but one great professional wrestler. But I believe he was great. He did not, you know what the thing with David Schultz was? He was not afraid of getting heat. because he didn't care. He'd knock every one of the people out in the building. He did not care. Rodney David Schultz, I think one of the greats in professional wrestling. I don't know that he made my list, but
he was tremendous. He was a tremendous wrestler. Anywhere he went, if you want to see some of him in his finest work, he and Dennis Condrey in Memphis, I think it's 1980. Check it out. They get too close to a cake, and they have the cake incident on them. But
I bet this was the original cake.
It's possible. It's possible, but they were a tremendous team, and Schultz and Condrey, and at this point, David Schultz doing most of the talking, and of course they're working against the Gibsons, Robert and Ricky, and I will not say what they said about Robert.
Watch it though. You can do watch it. We won't talk about what they say, but you can find it. David Schultz, Dennis Condrey, Memphis Wrestling, and go see it. It's very
and David is on top of his game, and he is. It's all he's got everything. It's classic David Schultz.
You know, Jack, have you watched the what's the thing called that they do that Ric Flair did and got in trouble for it? Whatever that thing is called.
Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, have you seen the one on David Schultz?
Yes, I did.
It's very good, by the way. I thought it was tremendous.
Yeah, I thought it was very true. To his story too.
Yeah, I think so. And David was a tremendous wrestler and was I would consider him to be a shooter in wrestling because he was taught by, I believe it was Buddy Fuller, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Or it could have been Roy. I'm not for sure. I don't know what year that was. I think it was Buddy Fuller, though. Tremendous wrestler. Just tremendous. Richard Hood, he has said hello to Michael and everybody else here. Dr. Phil Bogras is with us as well. Kevin Pendley asked the question, Rodney, you have Tex Mckenzie on your list.
He may or may not be on my list.
I don't think you got to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that one
out. Jack, I'll just ask you. Tex Mckenzie on your list?
I don't even know how to spell McKenzie.
You know what? I wonder if he was good earlier in his career. I wonder if he was a great wrestler. Because when we saw him, wasn't he at his end of his career, basically?
Yes. Yeah. And I think he was with the International Wrestling, Championship Wrestling. It was.
I saw
it was not good
stuff, and he was as good as anybody back in that day.
He was a tremendous draw.
He was a big draw. So obviously he had something going for him.
Yeah, I just know when I
draw. I mean, even through the Carolinas, he and Nelson Royal, great tag team, for what I remember. But I you can't find any of the tapes or any footage of Tex Mckenzie and Nelson Royal.
Well, if you want to see a train wreck, go watch Tex Mckenzie against Ox Baker. We talk about wrestling today. Woo, that was bad. Mickey Mayfield, not on my list, but Happy Halloween. Missing Link. Tremendous. If anybody didn't see him in the Universal Wrestling Federation, Missing Link was over tremendously there. When that song would hit, bang your head, then people would go nuts. Only match, by the way, that got over was the Missing Link and Dark Journey against John Tatum with Missy Hyatt. The only match got over. The rest of the night, the Freebirds, so. I'll tell you what did get over is the Freebirds t-shirt. Bad Street t-shirts.
Yes, it did.
Glen Allen Shelton, Steve trained in world class under Chris Adams. Number 74, Victor Nash. Number 74 is the Canadian freight train, Joe LeDuc.
I don't disagree with Victor on that. He was a tremendous draw in Florida. He was for Jarrett and with Jerry Lawler when he took that axe and cut his own arm. Very kind of graphic. And then, of course, the legendary incident with the Mongolian Stomper and Sledgehammer. let it bounce off his head with that cinder block. I would understand why many would want Joe LeDuc on their list.
I can understand too. I got a bad taste in Mobile, Alabama in 1983, I believe it was. Him, I mean, I think there was 20 people in the building, but he was having a problem running to the ring and was having a fit. Now, he would walk behind the people and everything else, but he wouldn't go to the ring, and he was messed up or something. I'm not for sure what was wrong with him. He yelling, I can't get to the ring. I can't get to the ring. I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be there. I don't know if he could figure out how to get to the ring. I don't know if not for sure it had anything to do with the actual getting to the ring. I don't think he knew how to get there. He was walking everywhere. And he was, I don't know. It was a bad taste. I would have fired him that night, but the other part of the dress for him might have been the same way. Joe LeDuc, Jack.
I got to see a little bit of him. I thought he was great. He's not on my list, but it just one of those deals of, maybe he should have been, but he certainly belongs and deserves to be on the list.
Yeah, he drew a lot of money.
We saw, and Georgia missed the boat with Joe LeDuc against the Freebirds because LeDuc and the Freebirds got into it in a battle royal, and the people just went nuts. And to me, that would have been an opportunity to have someone at least to challenge the Freebirds. And at that point, there was nobody. I mean, there was nobody. They were just running over Robert Fuller and Ted Dibiase and whoever else was there at that point in time. But LeDuc got over that night. He nailed all three of them, and the place went nuts. And nothing went from that. He might have got jumped on when he got in the back. I don't know. But it was a missed opportunity for sure.
I don't think that I would have jumped on Joe LeDuc. I just don't think I would have done. I would have said, hey, Joe, I think they want you to work in Canada for about 3 weeks. So after about 2 weeks from now, you're going to go work in Canada or something.
And he was also involved with the Freebirds when they reunited in Dothan with Hayes and Gordy in the cage with the sheep herders, and they were going to cut Michael Hayes' hair. LeDuc one that grabbed the scissors away from Terry Gordy and grabbed Hayes, was going to cut his hair, and then Terry went nuts and beat everybody up.
Good stuff, by the way, Faye.
Really
if you've not seen it, that is on YouTube as well. Good stuff. Get over there because they played it on Georgia Championship Wrestling. It was USWA. I guess the World Class, it was USWA instead of World Class Championship Wrestling. Dr. Philbo Grice. Hello, Michael. Let's see. Where am I at? Glen Allen Shelton. Surprised we didn't have him. Here are clothes. What's he talking about? Who do you think he's talking about? Not for sure. Kevin Pendley said he went to Bowell every week. Rickwood. Where's Rickwood? What was Rickwood at? Or the fairgrounds? I'm not for sure what Rickwood was. Explain to us, Kevin, what Rickwood is. I know what the fairgrounds is. I'm not for sure what Rickwood is. I don't know what that is. Fairgrounds, that's part of the story that I'm going to be telling next week about the fairgrounds in the Boutwell Auditorium. It had a lot to do with Birmingham and business doing bad. Jack, did you wrestle in Chattanooga on Saturday nights with Harry Thornton?
No, I did not. I grew up watching that. Chattanooga wrestling and wished I could. Pat Rose did, and Pat's like 30 years older than me. So.
Yes.
It looks like Pat Rose is now like the manager of his son. I think he must manage his son and for his singing career.
Hey, he's really good.
His
son's great.
Yes, he is. Michael, good evening, everyone. Glen Allen Shelton. Chris Adams was talking about him in 1986 when training him. Steve was so good. Victor Nash has a quick question. Who's your picks to win the World Series, Atlanta or Houston? I'm going with the Atlanta Braves.
Same here. In fact, when we get off here, I have instructed all children in my home to get away from the TV. Stowed his 74, Rodney. You stole the Magnum Ta.
I'm sorry about that.
Perez, number 74. Glen Allen Shelton. I thought Al Perez was good, but man, nobody used it correctly.
No.
Yeah. When he came to WCW, I got really excited because I thought if they did the right kind of stuff with him, he would be fantastic. But they just not just dropped the ball. It's like they deflated it and then just threw it out the window.
It was so they did the same thing to him in Mid-South. Yeah. I mean, the same exact thing. I mean, they put that Rock and Roll Express gimmick on him and Wendell Cooley and just killed them off horribly. And then they wonder why business went down. Well, I don't know. I don't know. But because people thought, this is stupid. Makes no sense whatsoever. It made no sense. The whole gimmick made no sense. So they were doing stuff that made no sense back in the 80s. So Magnum Ta, one of the greatest, super over for the fans, great athlete, great promo, awesome technical wrestler, and could brawl if needed. A great look. Shame about the accident, yes, because I do believe we would have seen big things.
Which anybody that's interested, Magnum Ta actually did an episode with us. If you can go look it up on our YouTube channel. It's great interview that he did with us.
Yeah, nothing would happen. David and Magnum been interesting.
Man, David Von Erich and Magnum Ta. Yeah, I don't know that anybody could have followed that. I mean, that's main event to me. I think that would have been fantastic.
Glen Allen Shelton said Bischoff had Diamond and Steve, but flushed it. The thing about it is he came at the end of Steve Austin being there anyway. So I don't think I don't think he would.
I know that they're getting. People want to say that, and I get it. But I understand Bischoff's point of view is he didn't understand where it was he was wanting to go. He didn't see where an old school style gimmick would have worked at that time. And remember, it was still another year, almost 2 years before he was able to really do it in WWE, WWF. So everybody doesn't see their full potential. I've done that as a booker. I've looked at guys and I saw a certain thing with them, a certain level with them, and that's as far as I could see with them. And they went other places. They got opportunities that maybe I didn't give them, and they exploded. Then again, I help guys explode. So it's a roll of the dice, really. A lot of times, it's a matter of a lot of things coming together at the right time.
And it just wasn't the right time for Steve Austin. But boy, when it hit, unfortunately, he gets hurt pretty early into his career and that was pretty sad. I believe Buddy Landell, but the biggest star, he had gotten serious with it. I think he was serious, but he was serious on just having fun. I think that was Buddy Landell. He just wanted to have fun.
Yeah, he talked many times about his drug abuse issues and how that would derail him, and and help for that is not as prevalent back then as it is today. And had it been, if Buddy could have gotten straightened out, Buddy would have been one of the very best in the business.
Buddy was so good. Buddy was really a better wrestler when it comes to being a wrestler than Ric Flair was.
Yep.
Buddy had it all. Buddy could do it. Buddy had the interview. Buddy had a personality. He could work. I mean, he was great. But Buddy just had demons. And if it wasn't for them demons, I believe he may have been world heavyweight champion. Yep. I don't know if he would have been long term, but I believe they would have put the title. I think he would have been a transitional champion. I don't know if Magnum Ta would have beat Ric Flair. I believe somehow Buddy Landell would have got the title, and then Magnum Ta would have ended up with it. But because a lot of times, if you'll notice, the world champion always would lose to someone else and then lose to the other guy. It just ended up happening that way somehow. Number 74, Joe Bateman, Kerry Von Erich. I'll agree with that. Michael Barr, Scott Armstrong was born in the wrestling family. Chop on on the Atlanta Braves.
Hey. I don't want to be not politically correct and get us thrown off. So I don't know what the status of the chop is anymore.
I don't
Go Braves.
Nikita Koloff, number 74. I'll give that. Nikita was good. And you know what? I didn't realize how good Nikita was till we went back and watched the WCW shows.
Yeah.
And he was so good at what he did. And it was a shame that he had to quit when he quit.
Yeah.
Because when he came back, he just never had that same sparkle or something when he came back. Do y'all agree with that?
Yeah, it broke that whole thing broke the momentum. And it's not the only person that's ever happened to.
Brian Young is with us, and he says his 74 is Pat Patterson. Tremendous wrestler.
Absolutely can't go wrong.
And
Any list that doesn't have Pat Patterson needs to be reset.
And Pat was a great mind for sure when it comes to wrestling.
All right, Mickey Mayfield. Abdullah has a music video from Japan where he is singing in a swimming pool and fighting a martial arts wrestler. He gets surrounded by geisha girls. I'm going to have to see this.
I saw that.
I'll have to see that. I didn't know. Joe Bateman said Abdullah is not on his list. My number 74 is Ted DiBiase. Michael Barr said Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase way lower on my list. Ted DiBiase, one of the greats. And I know he's gotten in all kinds of trouble here lately, but was a tremendous wrestler. And really got hurt way early in his career as well. When he gets to WWE, he gets hurt. And then that was sad. Christian Pierce. Oh, yeah. I forgot I have Russell South this time. You'll forget to get your payoff as well.
I'll jog your memory as I dribble your head up the stairs.
He wants to find out, Jack, how do you get to the building?
I would joke, but I had a guy that was on the last show that messaged me and said, "Hey, how do I get to the building?" I said, "The same way you got to it last time."
Shane was better than expected. He took a lot of bumps and did good aerial moves for the boss's kid. I was surprised. Michael Peters. Glen Allen Shelton. He trained not far from me in Dyersburg, Tennessee. David Schultz at Welch's place. David Schultz. He was trained by Herb Welch. Herb Welch. That makes any more sense. While he was as mean as he was.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase definitely on his list. Rick Brooks. Tex was pretty big in Detroit as well. Glen Allen Shelton. He was 4 houses down from Herb Welch in Hurricane Mills.
Wow.
I knew it was some Welch. I did not. Is Tito Santana on anyone's list? Now, Rodney's not going to tell you, but Jack, Tito Santana, make your list.
No. But I got great respect for Tito Santana, and he deserves to be on the list.
Tremendous wrestler. Rodney Tito Santana. I know you're not going to tell us if he's on your list or not.
Yeah, tremendous wrestler for sure. I think his biggest, claim to fame was Intercontinental Champion with WWF. But a tremendous wrestler, even the Mid-South. Did tremendous there as well. Santana definitely had the ability to be and did a great job anytime he got in the ring.
Tito Santana is on Joe Bateman's list. Michael Barr said Joe LeDuc wrestled for a while in Continental Championship Wrestling, Dothan for a short time. Glen Allen Shelton. Joe broke Lawler's leg in Memphis.
Seems like did he not throw him over the top rope or something onto a table? It seems like
I think he did.
It was. I think because it seems like they show that in slow motion over and over again on one of the shows.
And that was just people wanting to see it because they didn't like Lawler. So they just showed it over. Let's see. I recall when they brought in LeDuc to go against Buzz in 1983 in Georgia. Okay, Kevin's now telling us. He said Rick Woodfield, oldest baseball stadium.
Okay. Now I remember what he's talking about.
Oh, that's right. They had a couple of shows there, didn't they? Back in the early 80s. Steve Austin, if he worked, they'd come to Dyersburg. Not for sure. Michael Barr said Atlanta Braves. And we just say, go Braves, as Jack said.
We're in the Southeast. I mean, that's
just showed a bunch of Atlanta friends dressed like Flair, yelling, woo!
Just keep them away from the stewardesses, and it'll be okay.
Michael Barr, you're Jack, your pro wrestling tees. I've lost my pro wrestling tees t-shirt.
Well, let me inform you that if you go to ProWrestlingTees.com and look up Pro Wrestling Inside Out, you can purchase one of these shirts.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to Pro Wrestling Tees, and I'm going to have to buy one of those shirts because I've misplaced mine somewhere. I do not know where it's at. Where would Diamond Dallas Page be on y'all's list? Jack, I know Rodney's not going to say, but where would Diamond Dallas Page?
I won't say where, but he's on my list.
I don't believe Diamond Dallas Page made my list.
He barely made that cutoff with me because he did manage to get in AWA in the territory days, even though he was a manager. Still, the guy, I was so impressed with him because he paid his dues and never quit learning.
Victor Nash said Tito Santana was 93 on my list. Michael said, remember. Wait a minute. Well, all right. Remember the Spuller, Don Jardine on my list, and I think it was Michael. For some reason, every time I went to hit something else came up. Remember Joe Luke turning on Jimmy Garvin. Where did that happen? In Florida?
I would assume Florida, yeah.
All right, folks. Everybody seems to. Michael also said One Man Gang at number 74. I saw him in Florida. Early in his career, he was over then. Don't forget, folks, that next Monday, we will not be doing any live shows. They will be moving to Tuesday nights, 2 hours on Tuesday nights. So the hour that we do on Monday will all just be moved on Tuesdays, and we'll be doing 2 hours on that particular night. Jack will be having a segment that he will be taking. Rodney will have a segment, and I will have a segment that will be a little different than what we're doing right now. We'll also take at the end of our show. We'll do what we do now. We'll talk to all the insiders and do questions. But at the beginning, we'll go through the segments that we're going to do, and we will be
continuing on with doing the top 100 as well.
Yes, we will. We will continue doing the top 100 as well. It's we're just trying something different for the Thanksgiving. And
we were trying to be so different. We were going to call it Tuesday Night Titans, and Brent said no.
Michael Barr said, "Brent, did you miss my comment on person? What comment was it?"
But we did miss it on purpose.
Great show. Have a great week, all, and I hope Atlanta wins the series. Yes, I hope they do as well.
And then Victor had this one. NXT just kicked off with triple threat ladder match. At a certain point, they might need to try to come up with something different because they just had a ladder match just last night with the men.
Wait a minute.
With
many of the same old people we've seen over and over again.
The joke is that you go to any independent show, or used to be, you go to any independent show on the weekends, and what Vince did through the week, you're going to see on the independent show on the weekend. Well, now NXT is doing whatever Raw did the night before.
Wait, let me see if I get this right. You're telling me that they have NXT on tonight, but they're having Halloween Havoc on as well?
That tonight's episode is called Halloween Havoc.
I got you. I thought
instead of making it a pay-per-view, it's just a souped-up regular show.
Do they spin the wheel and make the deal?
They are doing that.
Spin the wheel, make the deal. That's Kevin Sullivan, I think, came up with that one. Let's see. Kevin Pendley, we'll go hit this real quick, and then we'll get off here. This is WWE Rodney. They did handicap matches 13 weeks in a row once.
I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen the same matches week in and week out. If they get stuck on, and at least we didn't have to see Jeff Hardy and Austin Theory for the third time this week. At least we got to see him wrestle the Beanpole Mysterio. It wasn't that good, but anyway, we got to see that.
By the way, report for those of you who are watching live, Atlanta is on board 1-0. So Atlanta Braves, go Braves, and we hope they. For those of you, people
I'm gonna tell you, I would be watching out for Bearcat Lee. Be watching out for him. I think he's going to be big. I think it's going to be big. I looked for him after the ladder match because honestly, he could have destroyed all 4 of them. And I think we got to keep our eyes on him.
I've been saying this ever since he hit NXT a few years ago. I think that guy is money. I think he's great. I hate what they've got him wearing, but if you get past that, that guy's so talented.
Yeah, see, Michael Peters, number 74, the One Man Gang. Did I miss that? I don't.
That we had him. Yeah, we had him. It was up earlier, and then One Man Gang, for a man of his size, could move, and he was very impressive looking. When he come down the aisle, everybody got out of the way. He was good, very good, and he and Jim Duggan have great matches. They had some great matches in Mid-South.
All right, folks. Jack, anything? We know Russell South this Saturday night, Halloween Spectacular at the Rec Center. Anything that you wanted to tell the people before we move on?
We have Big Smooth versus the heavyweight champion. Good Lord, our heavyweight champion slipped my mind. It's been a long day. But anyway, 2 huge guys going against Ryan Bishop. 2 huge guys going against each other. We're calling it Monsters Collide. So it's going to be a big match. We've got a ladies match that we had not advertised. I didn't put that out there till today. And we got a lot of newcomers coming in. So it's going to be a big night.
So get there if you live in the Alabama area. It's very easy. Vince don't like Lee. I don't know if Vince likes anyone.
Actually, Vince does like Lee. Vince has turned him into his pet project now.
By the way, I believe Vince is the one that called him Bearcat. I believe it was his ideal to call him Bearcat.
I thought what they did was very good last night, and I'm going to be looking forward to see what they do with him because I just want to see him do good. I don't know what it is. I just want to see him do good.
Okay, folks, next Tuesday night, 2 hours. We'll be talking and doing a lot of segments that will be playing on our YouTube channel as well. So you can go watch it all as we are doing that. And we'll talk to everyone. No different, really. Just the hour on Monday goes to Tuesdays. And so we hope we see everyone there next Tuesday night. Rodney, thank you so much. Jack, thank you. And thank you, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out Insiders. We certainly do appreciate it. And we'll see everyone next Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.